Todd and I are finally awake. We have come out of hibernation to talk Angels baseball. We are about halfway through the winter meetings by the time you guys listen to this. So we are going to talk about what's been done, what's still yet to be done, and where our Angels sit this early on into the offseason. All that and more after this.
One, two, three, go! Oh, 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 oh. From Texas to Anaheim, we're bringing the heat. Todd and Fernando got the news every week. Walk-off strikeouts, who's making a name? Who's in the clutch and who's taking the blame? Lone Star Halo, fucking baseball, here we go. Big hats, bad calls, who's gonna rise and who's gonna fall?
Hey, welcome in everybody to the Lone Star Halo show. I am Todd Fox, reuniting with my good friend, the Lone Star Halo, on his show. How you doing, my man?
Doing well. It's definitely been a while since we've done this. Definitely had. It's been a crazy few weeks. A lot has changed, but always excited to talk Angels baseball. It's definitely time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a catch-22. I kind of erased the memory right now of the Epic World Series. Got to give it its respect, but as we move into the off season, you get kind of happy. You kind of turn the page and you're thinking, okay, you forget who your owner is, and you want to reset and see if we could get a good thing going this year, not be as bad as last year and previous seasons. But reality checks happen and they've come and gone so far in the brief off season as we're getting into the winter meetings. There's been a few moves that we're going to talk about on the show, and then also we're going to talk about some stuff that kind of set us back out of our good feelings there for a while. So Fernando, why don't you kick it off for us?
Yeah, I mean, we'll start off real quick. We already talked a little bit about the Grayson Rodriguez trade when it happened. We had that kind of breaking news. We did an episode. Excuse me, we did an episode that day. So, as more and more time has passed, I've gotten a lot more excited about the prospect of what Grayson Rodriguez could be on the front end of this rotation. I would say probably in like 2027 and beyond. I think 2026, unfortunately, might still be a lost year for him. He hasn't pitched in a couple seasons. How will he bounce back from his surgery to help with the bone spurs? Will it make a difference? I mean, obviously, we sure hope so. But the fact of the matter remains that this organization has not had a front of the rotation type guy who's just a pitcher for the better part of a decade, right? I mean, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Grayson Rodriguez can be that guy. I know you and I have talked about it on air and off air. I think you and I have both established that we're excited for that move. We've gotten a little bit more excited for it. Has your opinion on it changed as we've, gone farther and farther into the decision?
No, I think in this case, we'll talk about the other one, but in this case, I think it's a win-win because obviously the 4 year of control, the guy's got a lively arm. He's super young, and I think like when we had I had a Hacksaw on, Hacksaw was just basically like, hey, I love this move, and he's got lively stuff. He was 20-6 as a starter, or something like that. He had a really good win-loss ratio. The ERA was good, and he says he can only get better. And with a major surgery out the way, he's got a chip on his shoulder. I love it. I'm still right there in the I love it category.
Yeah, and what I do want people to realize is, and this isn't a cop-out by any stretch of the imagination, but frontline starters are always a gamble, right?
Yeah.
I mean, anytime, even if you're signing a guy like Garrett Cole, who when he was a free agent was obviously a little bit more proven, Well, there's nothing little about it. He was extremely way more proven, right? He had already solidified himself as a top arm in baseball
Mhm.
at the time he became a free agent. And I know a lot of us wanted Garrett Cole, and of course, the Angels pivoted and got Rendon, which was, as we all know, the greatest decision in franchise history. But we'll leave that goodness behind to say we all wanted a front end of the rotation type guy. He was available in the market that year. The Angels hadn't done it. I don't think there's been an arm who was as beneficial as Garrett Cole that's been a free agent since. Has there been other guys that could move the needle? Absolutely. But I think Garrett Cole is probably the best starting pitching free agent of the last 5-6 years. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, he stayed healthy. I mean, up until last year with his injury with the Yankees, I mean, that was the thing that Angels fans were like, "Oh my God, we get a starter like that. We overpay for him." And my have the have the what is it called? Everyone's personality back in the day was, or not personality, but their views upon pitching was, it's too risky. Now it's like we've been screaming for pitching. Had we gotten Garrett Cole, like you said, Garrett Cole for the most part has been just a Cy Young waiting to happen every season up until last season. He's
Yep.
had electric stuff, and he was a can't miss guy, and the Angels missed.
Yeah, I do think honestly and legitimately, if the Angels would have signed Garrett Cole in 2020, I definitely think they would have made one, if not two, playoff appearances
I
in
agree.
the Otani era. In the number 17 era. And the reason for that is because you have what potentially 20-ish starts out of Garrett Cole. Prior to last season, he's been healthy. So with that being said, do you mean to tell me in the previous years where the Angels needed a couple of big wins strung together that Garrett Cole and number 17 at the top of the rotation weren't needle moving? I think that would have made the difference.
Well,
Even in 2020, that year where number 6 actually had a decent year. Sure, it was such a sprint that it really didn't matter. But in 2020, the Angels were a bubble team, right? They just missed the expanded playoffs, you know. And we can say whatever we want about it being a ring pop, and I agree to that to this day. But here's the thing: if the Angels would have made the playoffs in 2020, you best believe we would have at least celebrated the fact that we made it, right? I mean, would it have meant the same if we made it in a normal season? I mean, of course not. But still, if you made the dance, you made the dance. And Padres fans still count 2020 when they made it.
I look at it this way too, bro. Had they signed a Garrett Cole, you probably ride him out with Otani and any other starter you had in that rotation, and then the next year you're motivated to, hey, let's add another piece.
Yeah,
and
he
and
would have brought more.
yeah, and he would have, just by himself having a near Cy Young with the Halos, he would have attracted another free agent or two.
Yeah, that's fair. With our brothers down south, the San Diego Padres, a lot of Padres fans hated that Eric Hosmer move. And, let's
Mhm.
face it, that was a bad contract. But at the end of the day, Eric Hosmer led to them getting guys like Manny Machado, led to getting the guys that have since come on free agent contracts, the Xander Bogaerts, or even traded for Jake Cronenworth and getting him to extend with the Padres. The point is, sometimes you make a move like the Padres did in Hosmer, and he just didn't make a lot of sense at the time. But since then has made a lot of sense for that organization. And now I'm certainly not going to say that the Padres are a winning organization because let's face it, they still haven't won anything. But they are at least making it to the playoffs more often than they're not. And that's where you want to be in as an organization. I mean, if we were in the Padres' shoes, sure, we'd be frustrated that they weren't winning World Series because we both agreed that last year the Padres were sink or swim, right? They were all in. They needed to win. And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, they failed. They were bounced in the first round. We would love to be in that position right now. But you got to get there first. And signing a guy like Garrett Cole, I think, to your point, would have 100% have landed some additional guys.
Yeah, and it just changes your whole mentality as a team because with this team being frustrated about your Silseths and your Detmers and your other pitchers you've drafted, and they were the heir apparents that just haven't panned out, that's where dipping into the free agency in a healthy way and getting a starter when it's like, okay, these guys are 2 or 3 years off or they're unproven. We need an ace to anchor it, to take the pressure off these young guys, to give the opportunities to the young kids in 3 or 4 or 5 spots instead of 1 and 2 with all the pressure. I mean, think about how good Soriano could be if he's starting his career as a 4 or a 5. Instead, you're just right away saying, hey, man, not only did we expect you to be a 7th or 8th guy as a setup to our closer, but now we're going to switch you to the guy because you have the guy stuff. Well, you could be the guy and fix and fine tune your stuff in the 5 spot. But that's what happens when you're too scared, you're too cheap, and you're not progressive to go out there and get a starting rotation that, okay, none of these guys are homegrown, but they will, pass the buck when the time is right. We're not getting over the hill guys, but we're getting guys that are maybe 30, 31, 32 years old that are proven, established, and can eat innings. And I think that's where the Angels in this entire non-rebuild have really failed. Like literally, but me and you have given this team an F because no matter who the GM is, no matter what the culture is, the Angels refuse to understand that you can't let your guys cook and marinate in the minors unless you get guys at the major league level to hold the fort down until they're ready.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing for the Angels. They've had to let these guys marinate and learn at the major league level, which, if you have the right guys in place, isn't necessarily a bad thing. But also, like you had said, to your point, I mean, when Zach Neto was called up, the Angels didn't have a competent shortstop, right? And I mean, and in all fairness, let's pretend Zach Neto never existed on the face of the earth. There was still that hole there. There's nobody else in the organization that could fit that hole right now. I mean, was it Squid? You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
at the time.
perfect case scenario, Fernando, to your point. What if Simmons was on the last year of his contract with the Angels and you had a Zach Neto in the waiting and he was able to establish himself? And you're like, okay, if Simmons tails off in his final year with the Angels or Eric Ibar, you can say, okay, let's give Zach Neto the reins. Let's let him give it
100%.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. In most
Yeah.
organizations, that's what it is, right?
Yep.
These guys are blocked by somebody else. And, as an owner, look, let's face it, your dream is to have a team that's very cheap, that's winning games, and that's making it to the playoffs, that's giving you a chance. That's what the A's have done for forever, right? They take low budget, low cost guys and they find ways to win with them. Go good.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, to your point, you remember when the Angels are good?
Yeah.
Petridge Farms does. And Petridge Farms said that when the Angels had Troy Gloss, remember a guy named Brandon Wood? Now, he didn't pan out in the major league level, but I remember down in the farm in AAA Salt Lake, homeboy had nearly 40 home runs because he was able to play a full season at AAA because we had Troy Gloss up here. And once the franchise was like, okay, Troy Gloss is getting a little long in the tooth, let's let him move on. We've got a guy just ready to go. So to your point, yeah, that's how it should be.
That's 100% how it should be. That's why you have prospects, because they're at the AAA level, they're really killing it, and yeah, like you had said, you have an aging veteran who is getting long in the tooth, and you think to yourself, okay, you know what, this guy's for instance, like Taylor Ward, right? He was about to be a free agent after this 2026 season. If you had, Nelson Rada, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
But a full season of Nelson Rada.
Correct. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you have a situation where these young guys have finally hit that point, Rob is just joining us. Rob, always nice to have you, buddy. Thank you for coming on. Yes. So when you have these guys that are at that point, they've earned it. They've done it at the minor league level. A competent and well-run organization says, you know what? Taylor Ward's going to be a free agent. We have Nelson Rada. He's ready to go, or whomever. Let's trade Taylor Ward and plug in Nelson Rada. That's what happens when things are firing on all cylinders. But the Angels haven't had that for the better part of the last 10 years. I mean, you had brought up, Troy Gloss with Brandon Wood. I can't think of too many other situations where we've had a guy at that minor league level that's just right on the fringe, and we traded. I mean, yeah, I think of like Mark Trumbo and guys from like the early 2010s.
Well, I think the other one was Kendrick when
Howie Kendrick.
Harry Kendrick came up for Adam Kennedy. So you had
Yeah,
that.
but once again, that's like, what, 15, almost 20 years
Yeah.
ago. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of instances where it hasn't panned out. I mean, you mentioned Brandon Wood. What about Caleb Coward?
Yeah.
Caleb
that's another
Coward
one.
was supposed to be another guy who was like, oh, hey, this guy's a pretty decent prospect.
Mhm.
Rob, off the top of your head, can you think of any young prospects who were just kind of right there waiting to strike, and the Angels made the right decision to trade away a veteran?
You know what? I can't really think of it because I'm still haunted by Dallas McPherson and Brandon Wood and those guys. They're the second
Yeah.
coming, supposedly, and
Yeah.
it's never worked out for us. I mean, it's essentially Mike Trout, right? Getting rid of Vernon Wells at the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this because we were talking about Rob, like we really haven't had that, guys where the Angels signed proven veterans to anchor the season and say, okay, Nelson Rada's he's got to play a full season of AAA, so we're gonna get a proven starter like a Nick Mullins, or we're gonna go out and get somebody that can hit the ball, and Bellinger stay out there for a year, and then if Rada's tearing it up by September, we'll give him a shot. But we need him to marinate. And the Angels just seem to they get anybody that catches fire just for a few minutes, and they're like, we got to bring him up because we don't have no depth.
Yeah.
And
we got to sell tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christmas in June.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, it's tough organizational wise, but we have no depth, right? We, like you guys just said, when Lugo came up, Matthew Lugo is a third baseman. He put him in the outfield because all of a sudden he was hitting. He was great. Gave us a little spark there. But then what happened was he couldn't last the full season. Quickly faded away, found himself back down in AAA. Probably even should have went down to AA to get a little bit more work in, because for us in Salt Lake, me personally, I'm not a fan of our guys going to AAA because that ball flies out of there. So you're not really getting a true reading of what's going on. And plus, we all know Double A is where the pitchers are at. You're
Correct,
facing
yep.
some great pitching, great hitting in Double A, so it's a little bit more of a live action. You see more of a jump from guys from Double A to major leagues, but again, the system's broken and it's not going to be rebuilt overnight. It's going to take some time.
and that's the thing that with the whole Grayson thing, I thought they hit a home run with that, but on their recent moves, it just screams of okay, low risk, high reward. If this guy pans out, I look like a genius. If he doesn't, oh well. Like I need to see more either savvy moves like Grayson for me to get more hyped up, or I need to see some real, like we're all in. Let's get some real free agents to anchor the lineup to help, get more runs and lessen the strikeouts, make more contact, and also provide some starting pitching and eat some innings. If we start to see that, because I know we're not going to go out there and sign any of these international guys. I know that we're not going to get no high price guys, but there's a lot of good mid-level guys that would really help this team, like we've been screaming, depth-wise.
Yeah, I think the Angels need to set themselves up to be in a position to have a good problem, right? If you create enough depth, then you're in a position where, come the trade deadline, maybe you sign some of these veterans. For instance, like how last year they'd signed Kevin Newman, right? Let's just say you brought in a guy like a Kevin Newman, because like you said, you're not going to bring any of these top tier guys to play second, third base. At least I don't think so. Maybe Rob will think so, but knowing Rob, I don't think he thinks we're going to get any of these guys either. But if you get a guy like, a Kevin Newman type guy to stopgap for the next 2 or 3 years, while guys like Christian Moore truly get time to marinate, get ready at the minor level, come up when he is ready. Let's just say that this time next year, that veteran still has 1 more year under contract, and Christian Moore was truly batting like 400 at the AAA level, and you really want to go all in on giving him an opportunity for 2027, because that's when this window should be open. We've been saying that for years, but realistically, I can't see an avenue where 2027, these young guys should be ready to strike, because let's face it, at that point, their contracts will start getting their price tag will start getting expensive as they enter arbitration. And once that happens, you really only have like what, about 3 years of contention before those guys are going to demand big money and potentially go elsewhere.
I gotta say this to Rob's part real quick. When he brought up Lugo, I was thinking Kyron Paris too. Like those guys were flashing the
Oh yeah.
pans. They were hot for a little while, but then when the pitching adjusted to them, they either didn't get the coaching or they refused it or just they never adjusted and they weren't
It's
able
not too
to.
bright.
Yeah, and I think that's what, to your guys' point, my point, if you have established players up here, it's like the good old days of Angels baseball. The Eric Ibars, the Benji Molinas, all those players had to bite their time and wait to be the next man up. And they had to put in 2 or 3 years in the minors before they reached the majors. We're just like a drive-through. We're not a sit-down restaurant where we could take our time and tip the waiter and the whole thing. It's like, no, you drive through, get your food and go. That's what I feel the minor leagues are like. We really don't give our guys enough time to learn the intangibles even. So when they get up here, they either take off because the pitchers aren't used to them and they do really good, or they just fall flat on their face, man. So
Yep. The difference between a major leaguer and a minor leaguer is a major leaguer is able to adjust when their hot streak turns cold, and a minor leaguer has difficulty doing that. Now, the difference is that's the point of the minor leagues, right? We've all played baseball at various levels here. And when we all know, and anyone who's played really any kind of sport knows, whether it's basketball, soccer, whatever, if you're playing basketball and you have your shot at that moment, man, you can't miss. Same with baseball. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what that pitch is throwing. You're seeing the ball really well right now. You're feeling really confident with a specific pitch. You're sitting on a specific pitch. But what happens when they start to see the trends? Like, you know what? Todd's really hitting the curveball down in the zone, but you know what? Just like Trout, he can't hit that fastball up and in or the fastball up in the zone. And all of a sudden, they just start throwing you that because they know you can't touch it. Okay, what are you going to do to extend that at bat long enough where they're going to get tired of throwing that pitch because you just keep fouling it off? You just keep being a pesky hitter. That's what a major league hitter does. They adjust. They know the weakness in their own game. And you know what? For me, I always struggle with that fastball up in the zone. Swung at it every time like an idiot, could never lay off of it. And, for periods of time, I was able to fight it off in an at bat, but I wasn't able to do it for a prolonged period of time, which is why my career ended when it did. There's a very good reason for it. I couldn't make it to that next level. And I commend the guys that do because they adjust to that. And I'm really hoping that these young guys can continue to take that next step, because there's been times where some of these young guys that we're relying on look over mats. I mean, look at Logan O'Hoppe. He struggled mightily in 2025 to the point where a lot of us Angels fans are starting to worry about the long-term success of Logan O'Hoppe. Maybe now that we've had time to marinate, maybe people have changed their perspective. But if you went on Twitter and Facebook, a lot of people in August and September were really saying, guys, maybe we should start Travis d'Arnaud. Logan O'Hoppe doesn't look ready. I remember even in the post-game show, Todd, there was people in the audience saying that we should send this guy to Double-A.
yeah, they were waiting to give up on him. And I know Rob was kind of bullish on him.
Yeah, I mean, I like Logan O'Hoppe, right? I think the tools are there itself.
Of course.
You had a coaching staff who came in and changed the launch angle swing. He was a pure swing hitter, contact type hitter, driving the ball to gaps. He finished the year before, a great stretch, a great run there at the very end when he came back from his injury. Then all of a sudden, what happened? Everything changed. They changed his approach at the plate. They changed his swing. They changed his style. They even changed his stance behind the dish, which really messed with him mentally. He was more focused on that instead of blocking balls, calling pitches, setting up the next guy. I understand that this is the new wave, but let's not work on this mid-season or at the end of the year. That's spring training. What the hell are you doing? At this point in time, at the end of the year, we should have started Darno. If he was healthy, we should have done that or called up Wallach, because all you were doing was burying Logan O'Hoppe's spirits, and he's a grinder. This guy's going to come back and hopefully do bigger and better things next year in itself too. I believe in Logan O'Hoppe. Just give him time, but stop messing with his head. You cannot change everything about a baseball player. in the same single season and expect him to produce. Let alone too that I'm gonna go back to Todd's point. There's 6 levels of development in baseball. There's rookie ball, high A, what is there, double A, high or low A, high
Yeah,
A, double A, triple A, and we're all of our young guys, we're skipping that whole thing. They're
Hmm.
barely in rookie ball. They're in single A, double A right away, and they're in high A right away. We don't even give them that chance to face everyone else. So even Logan O'Hoppe himself, was he brought up too early? Possibly, but has he held his own here and there? Yeah. I mean, great. He hit home runs. Fantastic. But Kurt Suzuki, in that latest interview, said the right thing. I think he saw, hey, situational hitting. I don't need these guys to hit home runs the whole time because it really doesn't mean nothing. There's no good when you pop out or when you strike out. I need you to do something, move the runner over, put the ball in the gap. And I think Logan O'Hoppe will have a better year this year, especially with Suzuki and everyone else. And Stassi, watching him behind the dish too, not really changing too much because those are catchers, former catchers that know you cannot do too much with a guy in one single season. That was like, and I'll throw this out there. Remember when Pablo Sandoval, the Giants wanted him to lose weight in the middle of the season instead of spring training, they were running him before games and they have him go play a game. What happened to his production? Straight down. You can't work on things like that mid-season. That stuff, that's spring training all the way. That just shows how bad our development is.
Yeah, and to your point, like I killed the whole Kurt thing because I've heard the same old song and dance. Guys can say the right things. I'm more of an action thing if you can prove it to me. And I did like some of the things like you brought up Stassi. I think Stassi will help behind the plate Ohapi's development. He will find the kinks in his armor and say, hey, this is what you got to change. This is what you got to be. This is what you got to look out for. You're the quarterback out there. I think he'll get in his head. Offensively, Stassi won't help him, but hitting, but fielding, he will. And then to the hitting coaches, I will say I'm pretty excited. Some people are like, "Oh, Brady Anderson's not a good move." No, I think he'll help with a development on the strike zone and the power hitting, and he'll take care of the launch angle if they want to do that. But I don't think he's more old school, which I like. The guy I like as a coach that they brought in besides Maddox is freaking John Mayberry. You want to talk about a proven hitter that he had to work his way. He wasn't looked at like he was a slap the ball hitter guy. He's a guy that reminds me a lot of Casey Kochman or the guy they have right now at first base. What's his name? It's blanking. Who's our
Channel?
first base? Yeah,
Nolan
Sean.
Samuel.
Yeah, and I mean he was never a power guy, Mayberry, but he had to work as a pinch hitter. He was very clutch in the pinch hitting. Had a long career. He hit for average, and I think it's going to be a perfect balance between power and hitting. And I think that's going to help guys like O'Hoppe, with the coaches now that we have. I feel much better that I think that these young guys can learn a lot better from instead of these guys are just like, hey, swing for the fences.
Yeah, so you had mentioned Mike Maddox already. We talked about Grayson Rodriguez. One of the other moves that we have not talked about yet, and we haven't been on since, is the Alec Manoa move. Now, we talked about the Grayson Rodriguez move having the opportunity to be a needle-moving move for the Angels in the future. Maybe not 2026, but you have him for 3 years after this. So potentially in those years, he could be a front of the rotation type guy. Alec Manoa was a 1-year deal. It's about $2.25 million, something like that.
1.95.
Okay, it's about a $2 million move. To put it in layman's terms, low risk, high reward type thing. He had a great year. What was it, 2022? He had a great year. Flirted with even Cy Young, but since then hasn't been a very productive guy. Now, my issue with the Alec Manoa signing was typical Angels. That was the first thing I thought of when I saw that move. And the group chat, we all basically said the same thing. It gave Dark Knight Matt Harvey, Trevor Cahill type of signing to me. It gave why the hell not. Now, the only kind of justification that I see is we did just get Mike Maddox as our pitching coach. I truly believe that Mike Maddox is one of the best in the industry. Todd, you've said recently on other shows that if Mike Maddox can't fix him, you are very confident in saying, okay, this toy's broken. We try to fix it. If this guy can't fix it, there's probably not a lot of other people that could. If it's not Mike Maddox, the only other guy I could maybe see in baseball fixing him, Mark Pryor. say what you want about him being with the Dodgers, but I think Mark Pryor has proven to be a good pitching coach as well. Seems to get the best out of his guys. But
Well, that's not hard. I mean, $1 billion guys. We'll just throw that out
yeah.
Deferred
No, that's
billion
fair.
dollar guys. Deferred.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I didn't like it. It just seemed like typical Angels when I saw the Alec Manoa signing. How about you guys?
I'll just say this real quick, Rob, and Fernando. As far as the rotation's concerned, I got 5 words for this move. This better not be it. Because if this is it, and this is your hey, you're saving grace, we'll throw this along with Soriano, Kikuchi, and Detmers. No. Manoa is a head case. You got to reel this guy in, and you gotta make sure he's focused because all he's been is an asshole this entire time. And it's like seriously, like I love his stuff, but his head is not there. I mean, if the Blue Jays are like, hey man, we're not even going to send you to AAA, we're sending you to developmental league. I mean, from straight majors to developmental league, there's something between the ears.
Well, you know what? There's some guys that do want that. I don't think Alec was that guy, but Ty, when he was still playing, he was begging Perry to send him to developmental league instead of AAA.
He just wanted out of here.
Yeah. I mean, some players do want to go back to instructs, but yeah, I don't think Alec Manoa was that guy. Rob, I feel like I know your sentiment here, but what was your opinion when it happened?
I mean, unless this guy's dropped some weight and lost the attitude in itself too, bad signing overall. Like this guy's I understand, guys. Yeah, he's 6'6", but he's about 290, almost 300 pounds. I'm sure, right there. That's sloppy. You're a major league starting pitcher. I mean, this is your job. You're not Bartolo Colon at the very end of his career, right? Bartolo wasn't like that his whole career.
And he was still effective,
so. Yeah, and he was still effective at that time too. So I look at it this way: we have Maddox for 1 year guaranteed. Why not go and get somebody who has a good possibility, like a Tyler Mahle type guy, to be the front end rotation? I understand there's an age difference between the two. I think Manoa is 28, 27, 28. Mahle's 31. So I get that, but Tyler Mahle has more of the stuff and pitched with Maddox last year in the Rangers. So there's a little bit of relationship there too. Let him keep working with him. He had a great year last year until he got hurt. He was the guy that I was telling Todd before, like that's the guy we should go get before the Rangers got him. But I don't know why we keep going for these projects because I agree with Todd. It seems like, hey, this might be it overall. But to watch a guy just go down and not really care at the very end, which I kind of feel like Manoa was. Yeah, his career is great. He had some great years. Don't get me wrong. But since that time, his head was too big. He was too big for himself. He never worked at his craft to further his greatness overall. I want you to be like a Paul Skeens, who was dominating a young age and still wants to be better every single day. I hate to use this also too. Yamamoto, that dude is not satisfied with his success.
Mm-hmm.
He's absolutely not, and he's still working harder. You had the world at your fingertips right there. But yeah, he fell on our lap now, so hopefully something happens. But I'm not a big fan of spending money, let alone a major league contract like that, maybe a minor league contract with the opportunity to make the club itself too. Yes, I know there's an option still to drop them down, guys, but we're still paying a certain amount. The MLB Players Union still has us. You can use that money elsewhere. Because honestly, right now too, I want Kenley Jansen back. That guy's losing weight. He's over here. He's local to where I live, right? Lives in the same city at the local high school here. He's pitching there. He's working out there. This guy cares. He generally gives a fuck. Overall, right? He generally does, and he wants to come back to the Angels. And very rarely do you get a Hall of Fame type player who still has that stuff who wants to come to the Angels. But yet we're going to overlook him and go for Manoa instead. I don't get it.
I'm hoping that now that the Dodgers got Edwin Diaz, hopefully that kind of reopens the market for us to have a reunion with Jansen. I would imagine his camp was probably at least hoping he would go back to the Dodgers.
I literally don't see how you can't go back to him because, again, you got nothing proven in that bullpen in the back end other than, maybe Stevenson will be healthy. Maybe Joyce will be healthy.
Right. Good luck with that.
If you have both those guys or one of those guys healthy, that still doesn't give any experience towards the closer's position. So, yeah, to your guys' point, bringing in Jansen again as a closer, giving him one more year would be great, or even sign him to a 2-year deal. I believe he has a couple of years left. But going back to here's the last thing on Manoa, though, for me. I look at it this way. if we are able to go out there to Rob's point and get a Mally type pitcher, whether it's him or someone else who could eat up innings, who we could trust with a 3 to 4 ERA to go along with those other starting pitchers, why not put Manoa in a prove it spot? Give him the sixth spot, not a starting spot, but hey, Kikuchi got rocked. He only went 3 innings. Finish the game. You be our long guy. If he's able to perform in that long man role, even at 2 million, which I'm agreeing with Rob, I don't like it. But if you got him on this major league roster, you got to use him. Use him as a long man. And if he's putting up 3 or 4 innings, every other night or twice a week, and it's like only 1 run here, 1 run there, no runs here, then maybe he's knocking on one of the doors of getting a rotation spot if one of the rotation guys starts to sputter. Make him earn it.
Yeah. Look, this organization's giving me no reason to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I guess I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt. But once again, like Todd had said, this better not be the move, like to help bolster the rotation, because I don't think it is. If this is a depth move, so we have a 7th, 8th starter, because this guy does have an option left. So, if he's going to be a AAA guy and he's just going to be riding the shuttle back and forth to give guys a breather, if like this guy needs to take a week off type thing because they're not hurt, but they have to miss a start type of thing. And if that's what Alec Manoa is, great. Kind of like what Jose Suarez was before he was finally mercifully dealt. Great. I can live with that. But if Alec Manoa is expected to be a productive member of this starting rotation, we're all going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
And the best point that Fernando brought up too was Edwin Diaz going to the Dodgers. Do we realize that it was really over $3 million? I would hate for this signing to be the reason why we can't get that other player, like let's say Michael King. Let's say if we're even in the running for that, because we just barely missed him by $2 million. We couldn't afford it because we signed this guy. That's honestly that's the Mets right now. $3 million was the difference between the two offers. That's how crazy this is right now. And I'll say this last thing on this: the Dylan Cease signing to Toronto Blue Jays screwed us because it set the market for starting pitching extremely high. And then we go get Manoa, and that's honestly the RD recipe of I'm not spending any more money. We're not getting anything else.
Yep.
That's the thing that's going to just, again, push some more Angels fans away, whether it's 15 here, 30 here, 100 there, because it's the same old song and dance. At some point, you want us as a franchise to be, okay, enough of losing. I got to dip into this money. I got to do things. Because to be honest with you guys, if you guys give me an update, I haven't heard nothing about a TV contract yet. We haven't finished the Skaggs case. We still got the audit coming. And we don't know if Boris is going to allow Rendon to get the deferred money to maybe free up some money for this year. I don't know if that's even a possibility. So we need answers as fans. And I think Artie's sitting on a lot of that crap too.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps everything close to the vest, right? I mean, even Perry itself, we all know that Perry's told to hush here and there where he keeps saying, hey, I don't really talk about inner working deals. It's pretty much being told, hey, I'm not allowed to tell you.
So you brought up Perry. I want your opinion on something, guys. So a lot of people, especially at the beginning of the offseason, once this Grayson Rodriguez trade happened, a lot of people were saying like, oh, well, Perry's really trying to keep his job. Now, if I'm Perry, I don't think that I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think the Angels are going to make that much of a needle changing move this particular offseason. But if you're Perry, I think the best thing you can do to keep your job is have this team take I don't want to say a significant step forward because I don't think that'll happen, but the Angels being about 500, if not being at 500, being in third place this year would be a significant step forward, especially if you can continue to make the organization better for the next 2 or 3 years. I think that's Perry's best case scenario. A lot of people are worried about, oh, well, Perry wants to keep his job this year. I don't think Perry's thinking like that. I think Perry's thinking what I just described. If I can make this team better in like 2027, that'll help me keep my job. Am I crazy, or do you guys think that's his mindset right now?
I don't think it's his mindset to help keep his job, right? I think he's just trying to make the right moves for the organization. I think that Artie Moreno said, "Hey, I'm not spending that much more money. So if you want to go get somebody and free up some money, find a way." Just like right, we've seen the Moneyball, right? I don't know if you guys read the book compared to the movie. They kind of show in the movie, but in the book too, he was told the same thing. Hey, I don't have the capital. Make the capital, make it all happen. You have it there. He says it, make it all happen, and I'll go, and you can go ahead and spend that money. And he did, right? Billy Bean went out and made it happen, cleared some cap space up, and was able to get the guys in there. Um, Todd, to yours real quick. The Angels did sign a 3-year deal with the TV. It's undisclosed amount of money, and I highly doubt we're getting $100 million that we were getting with Bally's, because at the time with Bally's, we were still a mid-tier team, not a lower last place team the last 2 years. So the Angels do have a deal as of 2024. There's 2 years left in it, I believe, but it's for undisclosed amount. So it may not be that lucrative overall for us. That's why we can see what's going on with Artie overall, but that just goes down to sell the team.
100%.
Yeah, I just wish that we had some fans that did like look the Pittsburgh Pirates. They went out opening day and had to sell the team plane flyover. We need to make more statements like that, and until we get a fan base that is truly tired. I mean, it's one thing to say it; it's another thing to act upon it. And I don't think that our fans have grown the cojones. To be honest with you, there's a lot of talk, but I don't see people wanting to speak up and speak out. And I think there needs to be more. I've seen more content creators do it, but you got to show up at the stadium. You got to show up outside the stadium. You got to call in radio shows. Yes. You got to be there, and you got to make yourself heard. Because, at some point this team, again, the Pirates are, with the way their season went last year, I think they were more of an embarrassment than us, which is hard to believe, but they had a lot of, I mean,
they had Paul Skeens. They have Paul Skeens, so it's hard to be an embarrassment when that guy goes out and shoves it and wins the Cy Young. At least they have something to fill the stand with, right? We have Mike Trout, who can barely get off his freaking ass sometimes because he's hurt half the time. And it's fun to see these young guys play as well, too. But even then, you get discouraged because then Neto goes out hurt, Channel is out hurt, and then we're bringing up God knows who, Joe Schmo from Home Depot, who played baseball one time. That's what I feel like sometimes we're pulling out of. And I don't no disrespect to the guys grinding it out, right? But that's honestly what it seems like.
No, 100%, 100%. Yeah, and I mean, say what you want about the Pirates, but even down the stretch, every fifth day, they had fans tuning in to Rob's point, to watch Paul Skeens pitch. And at the least, if they weren't watching for Paul Skeens, Livy Dunn was there, and guys will tune in for that. So that's what I'm saying. The fans had something down the stretch to watch. In September, let's face it, guys, if we didn't have a podcast, I guarantee you we probably would be finding other things to do with our time other than watching Joe Schmo, who runs your son's hot dog stand, for Little League, go out there.
But see here, it's your guys' point right now about talking about Joe Schmoes and Home Depot guys. I remember last year as a joke, I was like, you know what? I went to one of my rants on the post-game show and I said, I don't care if we had an outfield of ketchup, mustard, and relish. If they're winning, it's all about the name on the front, not the back. I'll buy a jersey if Ketchup's the best player. I said 100%. That, right? And then I looked at our minor leagues. I'm like, wait, we got a number 15 prospect by the name of Caleb Ketchup. So maybe that'll come to fruition.
Hey, man, if he makes the major leagues and he's a decent enough player, I'll buy you a jersey.
Hey, he's a number 15th prospect, so who knows?
Yeah, that doesn't mean much here.
And that's like number one.
Yeah, other than you might see him get a spring training invite and all of a sudden break camp with the team. So be prepared for that. Speaking of breaking camp with the team, last thing maybe before we kind of go to fantasy land to end the podcast, let's talk about the trade with Vaughn Grissom.
Okay.
Came over from the Red Sox. Obviously, this is one of those low risk, high reward type trades. This is a former top prospect. Very well known for his versatility. He can play second and shortstop primarily, has played third. I've even heard people say that he can play the outfield. Has a decent enough bat. Batted .270 with 13 home runs and 48 RBIs in 96 games in AAA. So they're kind of hoping that this is a change of scenery type candidate. What do you guys think? I mean, whatever type move. I mean, I think if this works, this is kind of maybe potentially maybe this year's Kevin Newman, if you will.
Oh no, we don't want him to pitch. But if he if I think it's one of those again where if he comes out and he sucks, Perry's like, well, he wasn't worth all that much, and it was we just got him out there to see if it worked, and it didn't work out. If he works, and it's like I told you so, I told you so, I knew it, and I think this is a guy who's young enough who can turn it around. The only red flag for me, besides his hitting in the last couple seasons going down on the major league level, is the fact that this will be his second change of scenery. So if you can't fix it here, man, where else are you going to fix it? I mean, we already got the Kyron Paris of the world and others that are in winter ball right now. Hopefully, this guy's doing the same and getting extra at bats and maybe give it a all 100% and nothing else and see what happens. Just hit the reset button and you know, I like it because he's super young. I would have hated if he was like a 36, 37-year-old career minor leaguer, but it is
Yeah,
what it is.
this cat's 25. So,
Yeah.
Rob, how you feeling?
I'm torn between two. It's high risk or low risk, high reward on this thing overall too, and they're what 3 years apart in age, so it's not like it's a big thing because we're talking about a college player, college outfielder. But you look at our outfield, you have Nelson Rada. You have some guys out there. Um, we're not in desperate need of an outfielder. We are in desperate need of infielders too, especially with Luis Rengifo possibly departing. Kind of shows the Angels' cards a little bit what they're going to do. The one thing I really don't like, he is out of options, so we are stuck with this
Yeah.
guy. Once you release him, he's most likely gone. But I like an Arizona State guy, which Isaiah Jackson was, but he's just a raw talent. The kid has pop, has talent, but he's just a very raw prospect. He needs to go through those 6 stages that we talked about earlier. So for us, it's a win a little bit. The only problem I see in this whole deal is this really our move? Is this our second baseman? This is the guy we're really rolling with. I mean, I would like to see a Luis Arez. There's other guys out there, other veterans out there to sign if you're really looking to win. But again, it just seems to me, although it provides flexibility for us too, because like you said, he can play outfield and everything. It just depends how you look at it. But I'm just torn on it 50-50. I'm not against it. I'm not 100% for it. It just kind of shows our cards what we're going to do the future wise with our infield. We're really not going after too many guys. So starting pitching is the thing that we're going after, but until we make a move there, it's disheartening right now. It's really disheartening because he did bat. I mean, that's a great stat you brought up too. He did bat 270 in the minors. And let me tell you, I don't know if you guys are high on Christian Moore, but he did not come close to batting 270 in the minors. So if
I
everyone
like
wants to be on
Christian
that
Moore.
bandwagon,
I like Christian Moore for his mentality and what I think he could bring in terms of leadership in the future. I think he can have that it factor. We've talked about Neto and Ohapi kind of being gamers, not being afraid to get their jerseys dirty, being leaders who are a little more vocal than we've been used to in the past. I definitely think there's a time and a place for quiet leadership and a time and a place for vocal leadership. You guys know how these kids are nowadays that are playing sports, even at like the little league level in middle school and high school. These guys are a lot more vocal than when we were playing. When we were playing, the game was still very much, you be respectful, you act like you've been there. And the kids nowadays are a little bit more flashy and they have fun. And you know what? Now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to enjoy that brand of baseball because we weren't used to it as kids, right? It was the professionalism. I know Rob's a little more traditional.
I
But
throw it at some of these kids' heads. Do that shit to me when I'm pitching out there. They ever
yeah,
show me up like that, right at the head, not even at the back. No, I
you've
hate
been
that
very
stuff.
vocal. You've been very vocal in years past about it. But I know Todd's a little bit more like me. He does like the kids having fun out there, being a little bit more flashy. That's just modern day baseball, right? And really modern day sports. Um, but I will say that I think Christian Moore can help build a culture here. My hope is that bringing this cat in is maybe going to make Christian Moore better in the sense of now he'll have some legitimate young competition, and in most cases a healthy rivalry in-house is only a good thing. um, but who knows, maybe I'll be wrong. I sure hope not. um, at the end of the day, this didn't cost the Angels anything, but I'm also so tired of using that excuse because who was the guy we got from the Yankees during the trade deadline where we were like,
Peraza.
oh, yeah, that didn't cost the Angels anything. Who knows? This guy was a former top prospect. Good defensively. Maybe his bat can get there. I mean, Peraza was kind of like what Simmons was when he came over from the Braves, and Simmons figured it out here and was a very serviceable offensive player for the Angels and was a great defender. So I'm just tired of making that excuse, but also, what other excuses are to make when you have a young team that still hasn't found its footing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we just need to get to a point where, um, obviously we need to get some free agents in here that will make their mark and we could trust them. Well, I think a lot of fans are tired of the let's wait and see. Let's, maybe a new uniform, maybe a new coach. No maybes. I want more established players, and I think we're fooling ourselves if we're going to get to that. Maybe they pull a fast one on us in a good way this year, and because the last couple of years have been predictable. But I don't want us to start strong here in the free agency market and then just watch one after another in a slow burn come off the board, and we just again get our Perazas. I want to be involved in some of these moves, not just in theory, but sign some of these players, man, because the team's not far off as with a shit roster last year and shit coaching. They played good enough for over a half of baseball season. So
Mm-hmm.
you imagine if they had some depth and some good coaching and they adjusted, you could have been around the playoff mark. And it's the only thing is, no matter who they sign, the division with the Mariners and the Astros still staying relevant is going to be tough regardless. I mean, maybe the Rangers come back a little bit, but Vegas will get a little stronger, and we'll have to deal with that. So it's never going to be a walk in the park. We're not the Dodgers, and but we can't keep spinning our wheels and staying in neutral and being like, well, you get $2.5 million per season. We're good enough to put that out there. Come get another Mike Trout bobblehead. It's like, no, we're over that.
Mike Trout of the toilet bobblehead, guys.
Yeah.
The toilet seat jiggles.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if we hold on to Trout long enough, we'll have a Walker Mike Trout.
We never did the Rendon one, man. Now it's gone. I had that one done. But the one thing I think the Angels should really do, instead of going out to free agency, and I'll say this, I like Christian Moore, but trade him. He's not doing it for me, guys. He's 23 years old. He's a year younger. A year younger than Zach Neto. And you mean to tell me that those two are the same caliber type of players? No. I want this kid to do well. I really do. Make a splash, make a trade. Trade Christian Moore, go to Miami, say I need a starting pitcher. Alcantara or Cabrera. Give me one of those guys. Put him in as our ace slot right there. Resign Luis Rengifo, whose numbers are better. And I even think he's better defensively at second base than Christian Moore is, too. Rengifo struggles at third, don't get me wrong, but overall, he's a better hitter in the major leagues right now. Christian Moore may be at some day. But as of right now, to facilitate the Angels, if you want to win now with this mentality, you go ahead and you trade more and you give up another prospect in order to get a starting pitcher in return. And you bargain bin with Rengifo and those guys. That's your splash you need to make. Because you're not going to go and get these big players. We already know. We're not going to spend 25 to $30 million for Michael King or some other starting pitcher.
Of course,
find a way.
Yeah, no, I love that mentality. I don't disagree with you in any way, shape, or form. I'm not against trading prospects for the right move. The Angels need to find guys who are going to help them win for the next 3 to 4 years, right? And if a prospect right now is going to click in and help this core, in my opinion, that's a no-brainer. If trading away Christian Moore can either get you a legitimate center fielder who's young, who can help this team win in 2 or 3 years, great. If it can bring you a front end of the rotation pitcher, great. These are the moves you can't be afraid to make because you can justify that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want Christian Moore to help us get like Lucas Giolito a couple years ago, where we got rid of like Edgar Cuero and Kai Bush. I don't want that because we don't need to make a splash right here, right now. We need to get guys like Alcantara, yeah, sure, that can help us win 2, 3, 4 years from now. And I'm okay with that. I saw that Mackenzie Gore and CJ Abrams are available. I tweeted, hey, man, I've been wanting CJ Abrams for years. Todd and I have had many conversations about CJ Abrams over the years. I understand a lot of people are turned off by him because, he was found, gambling or whatever late one night and the Nationals demoted him. He was an all-star that year, in all fairness. But, those are guys that could move the needle for years to come. So, I mean, if you can put together a package for guys like that who are still young, controllable, can help you win for the next half decade, great. Make those moves. That's what prospects are for. Either to help you out in 3 or 4 years or help you bring guys that will help you plug other holes. So, yeah, I completely agree with Rob.
I was about to say
How dare you?
to Rob, but I feel that could be a move. I mean, I love Christian Moore's fire, the way he talks, the way he could be a potential leader. His defense is really good, but his hitting was bad, and he struck out a lot. Could that be coaching? Who knows? But a guy like him, to Rob's point, if he pulls in an Alcantara, if we get a second gambler here, because we already had Otani, we get more like you want, Fernando. I mean, let's just say they pull that move with the Nationals somehow, and they're able to get more for Caleb Ketchup and some other guys, and then they trade more to Miami and get Alcantara. All of a sudden, your rotation is pretty goddamn sick.
Yeah, and you can't be afraid to make moves that are going to move the needle, right?
And wouldn't that be great for 1 year to just be like, oh my God, we have a killer rotation. Like
Yeah.
we can go, we could square up with anybody in the league.
We have a big three to go to.
Yeah, exactly. Look, you're a genius or a jackass, and at the end of the day, in life, it doesn't matter what you do, but especially in something that's as micromanaged and with sports general managers and front offices, we all tend to grab a magnifying glass and look at these moves extra hard. But no matter what you do in life, you always do things that you could justify, right? Because if you do make a move at work that you can't justify, and all of a sudden your boss, or hell, you are the boss, and now you have to speak up for why you made that move and you can't justify it, that's why people get fired, right? Or that's why, if you have a board under you because you're the head man or woman, this is why boards elect people out, right? Because you can't justify that. Who was the guy that took over after Bob Iger left Disney? Bob Chapek did a terrible job, and then the board convinced Bob Iger to come back. You know what I mean? Like, you do these things that companies can't justify, and for whatever reason, they go another direction, right? Perry Minasian, I think if this is his last year in Anaheim, if he trades away a guy like Christian Moore and he brings a front end of the rotation type guy, or at least a guy with that potential, if it doesn't pan out, I think you can justify that, right? Hey, this is an organization that hasn't had a lot of top end of the rotation type guys. I brought in Alcantara. And Connor Norby, let's just say that, to maybe help the infield depth a little bit. Another young guy who's controllable, who has potential. Oh, and I brought in Grayson Rodriguez. Both of those guys didn't have a good year. But you know what? They were needle-moving guys. They're going to be around. They can help this organization. They can help these young pitchers thrive. Okay, now when you're going to job interviews next year, you can justify that move, and other owners can look at that move and be like, you know what? That was a gutsy move, but you can justify that. I like that. Those are the kind of moves you need to be able to make.
Yeah, and Fernando asked me a question yesterday. Was it yesterday you asked me that question about getting a guy?
It was like 2 years
guessed
ago,
earlier.
I think.
So, guys, prospects are just this, prospects. And if, like Fernando asked a question, would you be willing to sign a guy with a qualifying offer and lose your second round pick? Yes, absolutely. Why? Because a draft pick's just that, a draft pick. A prospect's just a prospect. 30% of the top 100 prospects will not make the 30% of the top 100 prospects make the MLB. 30 of them out of the 100 will make the MLB and be everyday players. The rest of them fall off somewhere, somehow, and they just don't produce, or they're not who they thought they were once they reach the major league level, aka Grissom so far. So hopefully the Angels turn that around. But yeah, for all these moves and all these things process wise, we're the Angels. We should know the best. We've had these guys. We've had these top prospects who didn't work out. Weren't worth a damn for us at all. We've had guys who've come out and been great. So it is 50-50, but let's not treat prospects as a primetime Mike Trout or a primetime Shohei Ohtani. Can't get rid of them. Can't get rid of them to make the team better,
Yeah.
even though there's opportunities out there. So in all, man, the Angels, there's a lot we can do, but prospects, stop holding them up so high.
I think it also does depend on who the guy who has a qualifying offer attached to him is. For instance, remember a couple years ago, Noah Syndergaard had a qualifying offer attached to him. The Angels at that
Mhm.
time gave him the richest starting pitching single-year contract in Angels history. So with that being said, was Noah Syndergaard worth the qualifying offer? I didn't think so because you lost the draft pick for him. But if let's just play devil's advocate here. If you're signing a guy like Michael King with a qualifying offer attached to him, or a guy like Cody Bellinger with a qualifying offer attached to him for 3-5 years, respectfully, I think those guys are going to give you more value than a a second round draft pick would, especially with the Angels picking 12 next year. This isn't like how this year was, where the Angels had the number 2 overall pick, right? So maybe you could have made the justification a little bit more for, okay, that's a valuable draft pick. But yeah, I think if the guy is going to make your team better for the next half decade or so and is going to help you move the needle, you need to be able to take those opportunities. But if you're bringing a guy who's just an average pitcher like a Noah Syndergaard, then it's not worth it, in
He
my
got us.
opinion.
He got us Mickey Moniak. I know Mickey Moniak didn't have a great second year, but the
You
first
were
year
a
he does
big
is
Mickey
great.
Moniak guy. I know that.
He had a great year last year overall. Hey, he got you the number 1 pick overall in return. So you didn't really lose a draft pick. Or
That,
that's how I look at it, right? You got something in return. We made a mistake. Let this guy go. We need a center fielder. The guy did great in Colorado. I know Colorado is Colorado itself too, but it goes back to our coaching and our changing of our hitters and everything too. That was just me though. I'm a huge Mickey Moniak fan. I wish nothing but the best for that dude. I wish we had him still.
Yeah, I like Mickey Moniak, but hey, Mickey Moniak was Von Grissom essentially, right? You know what I mean? A guy who needed a change of scenery. You know what I mean? And there's some guys that eventually find their footing. I mean, Joe Adele took him quite a while to find his footing at the major league level, right? I mean, this is the first year personally where I feel comfortable grabbing a Sharpie and saying, hey, man, this guy's on our major league roster. He had a great year. I would even call last year a breakout year, maybe not defensively. We figured out that he's not a center fielder. Maybe that changes because for years, Todd and I, even before Rob came on the network, Todd and I were always saying, man, Joe Adele works so hard. This guy has an unmatched work ethic. Nobody ever questioned Joe Adele's work ethic. He just could never put it together. There was always those videos of him freaking jumping up like 6 of those foam pads. And Todd and I would always say, bro, why are we doing all this? Why are you juggling flaming baseballs while riding a unicycle while being chased by a bear? You don't need to do that. Just catch pop-ups. Just work on fielding ground balls. Yeah, because that was always Joe Adele's biggest thing. The Angels have always had these guys that have these super high ceilings. Jeremiah Jackson, super high ceilings, super athletic guy. Went to Baltimore, had a pretty decent year. Hopefully he can figure it out over there. Kyron Parrish, super high potential guy. I'm kind of tired of the super high potential guys. I want these guys who are going to come up to the major league level and just be productive players. You know, every so often you're going to find a Zach Neto who is a franchise-altering guy, but you don't always need that. Sometimes it's fine having a Nolan Shanuel who is a productive major league hitter, serviceable defender. Every team needs that. Hell, every company needs that. I'm sure we all work at places that have had people who have worked there for 10 or 15 years. They don't want a promotion. They're solid employees, and they just kind of get their job done. Teams need that. Companies need that. Organizations need that. So there's nothing wrong with finding those guys either.
That is true. And to go back to your points, if the Angels were serious about winning, they would have did what Rob said and take a chance and trade a guy like Moore, sign a guy like Bellinger, trade a guy like Shaunawell. Because let's face it, the Angels, as good as I think Shaunawell is, some may disagree. Defensively, he got a little bit better, but he's still a liability at first. but he can hit. He's clutch. He's the best one average wise. If Adele can work on his average and contact, that dude's easily an all-star. I think Shauna will, if he can work on his defense and stay healthy, fringe all-star guy, but he's not what the Angels want at first base. So if he's not what you want at first base, other teams will value him. Probably you could pull in another starter with him. If you were to sign a free agent at first base, like a Bellinger or someone like that. So there's ways that the Angels could do it. Will they do it? Absolutely not, because they're the Angels. But we can hope that maybe they land or try one of these new ways of thinking. And I think that's what, my last thing on this podcast today is I just want, different is good. Change is good. If we keep rolling out the same mentality, keep doing the same stuff, you'll get what you got last year from the year before. And I just want to see a new mentality. I want to see them get more aggressive, more pitchers. You can never have enough pitching, but if you were to bolster this rotation, I think the fans would change their mentality towards this year. Say, hey, we have a chance. We've strengthened the bullpen, getting our closer back. We've got a few moves here and there in the rotation. I'm feeling good about it, and I think that's what, if Artie's smart, which he's not, that would have been the baseball savvy moves to make, other than making sure that we know that that every nation in the world will be represented with a jersey. We're having Christmas in June. Star Wars is back, and we're going to have about 300 giveaways. I think if we weren't focused so much on the promotional side of things, I think the Angels, if they kept it in between the lines, I think that would grab more attentions of the true baseball fans.
Man, oh man, doesn't that sound glorious? Christmas in June, country weekend, man.
Yes, don't
the
hate.
usual
Don't
favorites.
Don't hate. Don't hate on country weekend. Come on now.
Hey,
Easy
I
now.
know Vince
You're in
loves country
Texas.
weekend.
Rob's
Yeah.
like, damn it, they took last year off.
Where's my
Man, go
cowboy
look at my
hat?
closet. You
My
won't
hat.
find a single cowboy hat in there. Not one. Not a single flannel. No, that's mine. My girlfriend has several. But fiance has several.
Hey,
Yeah,
Rob,
boots.
I'll jump in the mosh pit with you at the country weekend, man. We'll be out
We
there.
don't the mosh pits. What are you talking about? Killing me. You know what? Where's my Dodger hat? I'm kidding. I would never. I would never.
Well, Rob has been kicked off the
He's outta
network. Yeah, right.
Kick off the neighborhood. Kick off the network. Get it all.
Well, you wouldn't be kicked out of your neighborhood. I think you'd fit in the neighborhood now, right? You said you live
Well,
in
yeah. If I wore Dodger,
Dodger country.
yeah. They hate me now, but it is what it is.
True.
Do you have your neighbors that come up to you and give you the whole oh man, must be tough being an Angels fan, huh?
Yeah, and I always give it back too. Hey, didn't I see you in Angel games back in the early 2000s when the Dodgers really sucked? I thought so. Get on. Talk to me about this.
Yeah,
I guess-
no, my favorite's when Dodger fans post like the photos of Kobe and Dodgers gear. No disrespect to Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. But when he's wearing like Dodger stuff, I'm like, oh, it's funny. You can also find photos of Kobe Bryant wearing Angel stuff in the early 2000s.
At work, I'm always told when my Angel fandom comes up, oh, Todd has a podcast. Oh, thanks for Ohtani. That's why I always hear. So
Oh yeah.
kind
I
of
was telling him you're welcome. That guy was doing nothing for us too. Oh, I hate that. That's my biggest pet peeve, right? Angels. Oh, you guys are idiots for letting Ohtani go. Really? We had him for 6 years. We weren't doing anything with him. Was $70 million hole a year going to really help us out at all? Absolutely
Yeah.
not. We have bigger problems, right? There's bigger fish to fry here. So people who tell me that, passive baseball fan, bandwagon mofos, dude, pisses me off. That gets me going out of all things because it tells me that you don't know shit about baseball. Because one guy cannot change the franchise around. Oh, look, he helped us win 2 World Series. No, he did not. Actually, he was. I mean, this last year, yes, but so did your pitching. As we learned this year for playoffs and World Series itself, it's an arms race for pitching. So you need the whole thing. Both the Blue Jays and the Dodgers proved it overall. But again, these guys were a step lead away from losing the World Series. I hate Isaac Panafalafa. Wish nothing but the worst for you. Hope you go to fucking Japan.
There you go. Korea, even worse. You got to play
Mexico,
Korea.
send him down there too. Send him somewhere.
Go play Mexico. There you go.
They'll teach him how to run a base path.
I'm sure they will.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Oh, to think about the fact that the Blue Jays were literally about 2-3 inches
An inch.
centimeters.
An inch.
Centimeters.
Yeah.
We go by centimeters in Canada, away from winning the World Series. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's sickening because it's not even. We're not talking about Otani walking it off or any of these other big guys, Mookie Betts. We're talking
Will
about
Smith.
Yeah, we're talking
Yeah.
about Will Smith. We're talking about the second baseman. What's his name? That
Rojas?
Rojas, and we're talking about Kike Hernandez.
Wasn't
and,
Rojas going to be an Angel? Wasn't he potentially in that trade
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the Jock Peterson trade?
No, it's Pagaz. Pagaz.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Isn't it Pajes?
Pajes, whatever.
Yeah. Andy Pajes.
God. It's like
Pages.
okay, hey Todd, by the way, it's to have you. Sam Darnold. Sammy Dimes. Let me
You
help
know
you
what,
out there
man?
a little bit, bud.
I
Killing me
gave
on
up
that.
a long time ago on trying to teach Todd to pronounce names. And
I
anyone
can't
who's,
talk English.
anyone
It's
who's
the
been a
phonetic.
long-term follower of this network just kind of rolls with it.
Yeah, you just got it. You got to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. So
Hey, USC is the one team I have that wins. I need something, Todd. At least get the guy's name right, man. Saints suck. The Angels, I don't want to talk about still. Well, we're talking about them now, but
in
Yeah,
keep me
Darno we
going on that
trust.
stuff.
In Darno we trust.
I Oh man.
I don't have any teams that win.
Well, you got the Broncos,
I say, aren't you a
Yeah. I
Broncos
mean,
fan?
they're winning this year,
Coyotes
you
haven't
have-
and they
lost a
made the
game.
playoffs last year. You said the Coyotes haven't lost a game?
Yeah, they haven't lost a game this year, right?
Yeah, they probably won't be losing any games for a while, is my guess. Nice
that's
one, Rob.
cold. That's cold, Rob. That's
Yeah.
so cold.
I can help myself. I could have. I should have stopped. I'm sorry. I should have stopped.
What did Fernando do to you? That was
Yeah, that
low.
one was mean.
Move,
That was
move to
mean.
Texas.
Oh,
Left us here.
Trust me, man. We want nothing more than to go back. Oh, every time we go, we were just out there, obviously for Thanksgiving, and the first thing my fiance said as soon as we landed was, "Man, oh man, I can't wait to. I want to go back already."
wow.
Yeah,
I got an extra
would-
room.
I was
have
like
two
that
kids,
with
though,
Oregon.
so.
yeah, that's fair. Hey, I mean, she loves kids. We definitely looking forward to that next step.
Godparents, maybe.
We are godparents. We are.
Well,
Oh,
to
nice.
Rob.
Hey.
To Rob, though.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, I
yeah.
got parents already. I already got my
Yeah,
kids.
sorry.
They're baptized. We're Catholic, man. So kids
Oh.
are baptized pretty a couple months after they're born.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you go. I did make the cut.
Oh.
Sorry,
Maybe
Sorry.
the third one.
I was trying to help that
no
transaction.
third one. No third one.
That's
We're
what
good.
everyone says, Rob, especially Catholics. I'm Catholic, so I would know. That's what they all say.
Yeah.
Next thing you're going to be like 15 years in. You and your wife are going to start to talk about empty nests, and the second that happens, that's when she's going to hit you with the pregnancy test.
Then I'll be moving
Todd-
to Texas
Todd's been-
to afford life.
Todd knows. Todd
Oh
knows.
yeah.
Then I'll be moving to Texas to afford life.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, we'll save you. We'll save you the next door plot.
Sounds good to me.
Well,
All right.
guys, that's what we got on this week's episode. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you, 714 Tickets. Use code HITI at checkout, HITI for 10% off. You can use it for everything. My family and I used it for WWE Survivor Series in San Diego. We got to go to that. I think we saved like $150 because these seats were very expensive. It was almost $1,000 for 5 wrestling tickets. So use it.
Damn.
Use it, HITI for 10% off and 5% back in future purchases. Head on over to Brewheim, mention Halos in the Infield for drink specials. Of course, Max Market Pros, they are Google certified. They can get you higher up on the search results because all business owners know your exposure is the most important thing out there. So make sure to hit them up, let them know that Halos in the Infield sent you. And, of course, OC Dugout for all your memorabilia needs.
Absolutely. So, Rob, thanks for guesting on the show. And
Thanks
me
for
and-
having. Sorry, I'm booking a tea time right now.
No, you're good.
It's just
Dude.
opened up at 8:00. I gotta
Must be nice,
get
Rob.
rolling on this one.
It's
Sorry.
kind of- so you know he's checked out when he's doing golf. So thanks,
Yeah,
Rob.
yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Hey, for all my WWE fans, enjoy this weekend. Cena's last match.
There you go. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you later.